In the heart of southern Africa stands the remains of a once mighty city, Great Zimbabwe. For hundreds of years, a mysterious civilization reigned supreme here on the Zimbabwe plateau. Then suddenly in the 16th century, it crumbled, leaving behind only a riddle. Who had built these massive walls? Obsessed with legends of a lost white civilization, a German explorer stumbled upon the ruins. Was this the legendary city of Sheba, he thought? Whose queen captured the heart of King Solomon? "50 years later, an archaeologist in her quest for the truth unearthed an even more remarkable past. Had Great Zimbabwe been the center of a powerful black culture, one of the greatest cities of its time? This idea sparked furious debate and threatened to overturn centuries of bias about Africans and their history. (1871). The German explorer Karl Mauch searches for a legendary city he's convinced lies hidden in wildest Africa. Mauch has spent 6 years in Africa, overcoming poverty, sickness, and numerous scrapes with death in pursuit of his obsession. Against all odds, Mauch discovers immense stone walls that cover hundreds of acres. He is overawed. What he has found are the ruins of an ancient civilization, the only one of its kind in sub-Saharan Africa. Mauch believes this discovery will be his crowning achievement. Mauch's obsession with Africa began as a child. At that time, Africa was a land of mystery. Fantastic stories hinted at wondrous landscapes populated by exotic animals and wild natives. At age 10, while gazing at a map of Africa, Mauch vowed to one day explore its uncharted lands. Like many Europeans, Mauch's understanding of Africa was based on legends that grew out of the Bible.
Then she gave the king 120 talents of gold. Never again came such an abundance as these which the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon.
Solomon, the wisest and richest Hebrew king from the Bible, inspired many later legends. One told of Solomon's gold mines at a place in Africa called Ophir. Others spoke of the enigmatic Queen of Sheba. She was a beautiful seductress who appeared in Jerusalem, paid homage to King Solomon, became his lover, then just as suddenly disappeared back to her mysterious land which lay hidden somewhere in Africa. Arab traders plied the East African coast in search of the lands of Sheba and Ophir. The Africans who traded with these Arabs came to believe that Solomon's mines and Sheba's lost city were somewhere in the interior. Mauch burned to be the man who would discover these legendary lands. But Mauch was poor, his options limited.
Living in very modest circumstances, I was bound by my parents to become a teacher. And I was unfortunately denied the opportunity for further studies at a university. I've endeavored to obtain knowledge of medicine by talking with doctors and reading medical journals. I have started the practice of collecting insects, herbs, and minerals.
Karl Mauch did not come from a privileged background whatsoever. Karl Mauch was a self-made man. What he did was he taught himself cartography, geology, all the sciences that were needed for him to be a great explorer in Africa, like Livingstone, Burton, Speke. That's what Karl Mauch came from. That's what he wanted to be.
The dream of African exploration consumed Mauch.
By practicing gymnastics and walking 6 miles a day in every season over any ground, often without food or drink, I have tried to steel my body.
Mauch wrote to the German Geographical Institute in hope of gaining their support for an expedition to unexplored Africa. The response was harshly negative. It warned that African exploration should be left to the professionals. It went without saying that this meant people of higher social standing. He carried this letter with him for years.
Karl Mauch was not accepted by the German Geographical Institute because really he wasn't a member of the club. He was self-taught, he'd never been to university, he had no titles, he had no connections. He had no hope, really.
The German Geographic Institute had good reason to reject Mauch. African exploration was a dangerous and expensive affair. By the time Mauch dreamed of Africa, hundreds of European adventurers and missionaries had already died there. Most explorers were independently wealthy or well-connected. In Africa, they could afford to hire scores of natives, who became their laborers, porters, guides, and translators. Mauch, however, had nothing, not even ship fare to Africa. Determined to explore wildest Africa, Mauch, aged 27, enlisted as a crew member on a ship sailing for Durban, South Africa in 1864.
At last, the ship reached Africa. How I wished for the time when, for the first occasion, I would be able to set foot on this strange soil.
But the reality of Durban and the many other European settlements in South Africa clashed with Mauch's dream of an